Managing Director of Managing Partner, and Kevin Becksteller, Managing Partner from Reimagine Ventures, and your lifetime mentor, the General Partner at Disruptive AI VC. How are you guys? First of all, you have some water here. It's a bit hard for some of you, but we'll be fine. So, good evening. We all know you. You came to see you guys. I'll just start by saying that there are so many events on VCs and AI and so much of this. So our goal is to really deliver something a bit different for you guys. So we'll do our best to do it. So if you can please introduce yourself, what type of startups you invest in, and how many investments have you done so far this year?
Introducing myself, actually 2 lines in my resume. By the end of 2019, I retired the service. I used to be in A200, built the AI, or what we used to call data science center or unit. Now it's part of A200. Since I retired, I've established Disruptive AI, which is the early stage fund. We are focusing on AI. You know, when I 5 years ago said I want to invest on AI, people looked at me and need some explanation. Now I'm just walking around saying, I told you so, told you so. So it's a journey, you know. We are focusing on early staging from the deck or before that up to round A. I think there is a lot in common for those startups. It's never ready when it's ready, but between early stage to round A, you actually can work with the company on the go-to-market of the product, of course, the technology. Made 9 investments since. Still working. This year, we made 2 investments. The third one is on the run.
Do you have any portfolio companies here with us?
No.
No. Next time.
Not yet.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, Kevin has a portfolio company here with us, so if you can raise your hand, please. Let's embarrass him. Amazing. Corinne?
Yeah.
It's awesome, I didn't know. Really nice to meet everybody. Thanks for having me. My name is Kevin. I'm a co-founder and managing partner of Reimagine Ventures. We are specialized in pre-seed and seed investments here in Israel and focus really and obsess on how consumers spend their time and money online. It goes anywhere from gaming, entertainment, media to consumer apps. So we're a little bit different than most people. We also invest, let's say 50% of our portfolio is on the B2B side. It can also be infrastructure. So Corinne is actually co-founder of Echo 3D, which have created a CDN and a CMS for 3D developers, just because we saw that people are spending a lot more time within, especially gaming, but not just gaming, 3D worlds, and there was a big need for infrastructure investments on that side. So we do infrastructure, B2B, enabling tech and consumer tech, but within these verticals. We've been investing in AI since 2018. The first investment we did was AI related, and we made the first Gen AI investment in 2019 in a company called Hour One that is leading today in digital twins. And what else? I think my partner Easy is based in London. Shani is here with us as well. Come say hi to us afterward. And yeah, if you're working on anything fun, we're the people to talk to.
And how many companies?
How many companies? I knew there was something.
This year?
I knew there was something. So we've made 5 investments this year on the pre-seed side.
Hi everyone. First, thank you, Liron and Shaham, for inviting me. I'm very excited to be here. This is a great space and program for startups. My name is Gili Yelkin. I'm a managing partner at ICI Fund. It's a US-based fund that invests in Israeli founders with AI technologies that secure our future. So improving something about our future, only B2B. Pre-seed stages. We have Bazi here, so could you please just introduce yourself and say what Bazi does, please, Itai?
Thank you for that. So, I'm Itai, I'm the CTO of Bazi. We're doing was to analyze user data from patients, real-time analysis of physical data from patients to detect stress and to help prevent prolonged hospitalizations due to stressful events that occur during hospitality.
Thank you. And Itay and I are the founders of Bazi. Bazi is our latest investment as of last week. We've been investing in AI since 2018. We made many investments since then, but during this year, we made 5 investments. So we are in our second fund. We made 10 investments so far, 5 during this year, and we plan to do at least 2 more by the end of the year.
Thank you. So the reason I asked about your recent or last year's investments is first of all to show that things like investors still invest, you know, the market is still going. And I know this is obviously one of the biggest issues now is getting funded, and that's why we're here. So first of all, startups are still being funded, and also as of last week. With that in mind, if we can get a bit into your head, I would say, kind of to understand how has this year impacted you as investors, and also how has it influenced the way that you are assessing companies?
Well, I think it has impacted us like everybody else. It's been really tough. It's been sad, and internationally it's been, feel isolated. So it's not been easy. So I think for everybody in Israel, it's very similar. I think especially high tech, because of the war, and we saw a lot of the international investors pause, at least. I think I call it pause, because I do believe they will come back, but it's not been easy for a lot of our portfolio companies. I think the standard, for at least in my field, the standard to raise capital is higher, way higher. So generally speaking, last year, everybody suffered a bit, but especially here, it's obviously much more difficult than if you're just a US-based startup. So that we see throughout. I think the KPIs you got to reach have to be better. You really have to be very compelling, but it's possible, and it happens. So that's sort of on a personal side, right? So it's not that easy. The second question, how we're analyzing startups, is a very good question. I think it's very early, and we're looking at different tools. We use all the tools that we can afford or are available to us. So whether it's ChatGPT or if it's Notebook LM that Google released recently, or to help us with research, to help us to understand markets, to basically identify and help us with some due diligence questions quicker. We're looking at tools that can help us find you guys quicker, to sort through a lot of the data a bit quicker, but we're a very small fund, so we do this on a much more lighter level. And beyond that, I feel it's really still very early, so beyond that, in terms of how we're assessing the startups at the end of the day, because we do pre-seeds, not much has changed. It really comes down to the team, does it have industry experience, do you have insights that maybe we didn't have or that others don't have, that you have an idea or a way to build barriers to entry, is the market a growing market, the usual things that we look at the pre-seed level. Might be different on the later stages, where you have a lot more data available to crunch. But I think that a lot more will come also on the VC side, how we use tools to assess and find and identify people and startups. But as of today, it's really more on the due diligence side.
Well, I think in a short saying, what happened last year is that everybody became more sharp. I became more sharp, and I think entrepreneurs I'm not sure if it's because of me or on their own became more sharp. Like, we don't have time, we have to take a decision, we don't want to waste time, not for us, not for the entrepreneurs. And we go straight to what we are looking for, and not trying not to waste time. I did nearly 200 days in the Miluim, so it's like half a year I was not here, and it's all mixed up, but I got to so many, decks and decks presentations for people sitting on a hill on the border, or from Gaza or from headquarters, whatever. So you try to do everything to open the doors and to engage with the startups, but then you expect both sides to be very sharp, not to come not ready and be very accurate and focused. But if you are not focused, then there are many issues that travel you all around, like today. So we appreciate the time we have with the startups to understand if we want to move forward. If we move forward, I think, as I mentioned to our investors, to our LPs, now are the days that we see the Israeli entrepreneurs' strength and resilience. And when you see that, you get more confidence. It's part of the due diligence, but you get the test case in front of your face. So if you look at their journey of the last year, you can see what happened, how they handled that, how they work with the teams, with the people going to the Miluim, and so forth. So you can see if there is a resilience behind the slogan or not. I think from a funding perspective, there are a lot of opportunities because the global markets and the interest is still high. Hopefully it will go down. So money is more expensive. Startups understanding that and feeling that it is hard to raise funds. I think it's not only in Israel, but in Israel, of course, it's harder. So it makes the valuations more comfortable, if I may use that word. But then it's easier to meet the expectation and take more risk. So I'm willing to take more risk because the valuations are more reasonable. If you get to see startups coming with unrealistic valuations, so maybe the next door.
So that also helps you get LPs to invest in your fund?
What's your level? I see many people ask me, well, this is about the startups, but the real thing is if all of us can bring the money from the outside, for our backers. I see good feedback from that point. Many of them are coming to visit in Israel during the last year. I think most of them are into it and understanding the opportunity. So it makes the appetite, feed us all.
Thank you.
So how the last year influenced me, I think I'm more driven to invest in many companies. I'm very driven to raise as much money now for the fund in order to invest. So I increased the pace of raising funds in the US and the pace of investments. That's why I want to invest every day in a new company. So I'm driven by the DAFCA factor to show everyone outside of Israel that everything is continuing here. So that's what drives me, that's what has changed in me.
Sorry.
And the other question was?
So how do you assess the
Okay,
startups
so
in the past year?
So as Kevin said, we're doing pre-seed, we're assessing teams, we're looking for the same teams. I'm not sure if that something has changed in that term, maybe because it's such a challenging time to raise money and we're not sure when the next money will come. Maybe we put more emphasis on the ability of teams to be more resilient, to stay lean in operation, and to do whatever it takes always to succeed, no matter what, even if money is not coming soon and not coming when they need it, that they will always find a way to continue.
And with that in mind, how can you actually differentiate between companies that are providing real value in AI? Because the standard, as you said, is getting high. There's so many anyone here uses AI, I'm sure. So how can you define the real value of startups that eventually you would like to invest in?
Yeah, it's hard, especially at the pre-seed level right now. It's not
Yeah.
easy being an investor right now. I think because things are moving and changing very, very quickly. So the first wave of startups, of Gen AI startups, has been commoditized more or less already. So one aspect that we look at is really where does the value come from that you provide. I don't mind. I don't need you to build an LLM. I actually don't invest I wouldn't invest on the LLM level personally, or our fund would. I think that's going to be commoditized soonish. But if you invest in the infrastructure, if you invest in the application layer, even, where do you see value in the future? Then the question really is the value that you provide to the customer, is that value 80% coming from the LLM and 20% from you, or is that equation turned around and you provide 70-80% of the value and 20-30% is coming from the LLM? So, people call them wrappers, but there's going to be companies that are very cleverly using these technologies to build the user experiences, different cost structures, different business models, and that's what we're sort of looking for. And then I think another value aspect is what folks started calling vertical AI, just took it from vertical SaaS. I think Bessemer wrote a really nice article about this recently. So there are these very large vertical niches where maybe you don't compete with Google, where you don't compete with OpenAI, and they're using Gen AI can really unlock, potentially even expand markets, and we find those very interesting. And so we've done stuff in the gaming world, we've done recent investment in the luxury goods space. So we're talking markets that are a few $100 billion worth, but they're not in the trillions. And so I don't run into competing with Meta or with Google, but these markets are very interesting, and those vertical markets we like to look for value as well. But it's really easier said than done. It's something that we strive with as well. And to quote a CTO friend of mine, he said it's right now building an AI startup is like building a house during an earthquake. So it's not easy because everything is moving so fast.
Yeah, if you want to share it, and we'll get your questions later on. So I'm sure you have much to say about that as well.
So the question was,
how do you find the real value for you in startup? I mean, there's so many AI startups out there. Everybody's using AI. So how do you differentiate between the right ones that you want to take and you believe that will, or know, or assess that
okay,
they
so
will make it?
we're focusing on vertical AI, meaning that we're looking for technologies that change or disrupt verticals. And there are verticals that could be disrupted only with AI, with big data analysis, the use of all the technologies, using data to disrupt this specific vertical. So I want to see first the potential for that. Now, concerning the technology, there is room for moat, even when you're using the general available LLMs or any other open source that are.
And moat is like the expertise, right? The domain expertise.
It's a competitive edge, but it could be, you can analyze moat from two perspectives. One is the time. Let's say you invent nothing, but if you execute it right, the time it would take to others to create something similar, you can gain this time mode by using unique data that it would be hard for others to gather, or you're using something in a different way that you need to find that specific different way and practice it enough. And that in that case, when someone else wants to do that, he will have to go through the path of practicing it and trying and retraining and understanding the data deeper to be at your position. So if you do it fast and you do it, you have some advantage on others. So you have more. it usually, now with all the OpenAI and those platforms, it's harder to get more than half a year advantage. With classic AI, you can get more. So this is one type of technologies. The other type are those with real mode, meaning that you have something patentable. It's not that I'm pursuing startups with patents, but something that I can write and understand that it is innovative in a way that it's not the trivial path to create the solution. It's something that you have to pass through something really deep, not only the time you are working on it, but based on your experience or research done a few years before. So it gives you a few years of moat, if I may say. And the third thing is the first thing, but it's the third thing on that expression is the team and the ability to execute the technology that you are talking about.
Yeah.
It's not enough to do a research or to bring a research from the academy or I don't know, to execute an article. You have to somehow build a company out of it. So these are three. And the most important, make sure you are not sitting on an elephant path. This is what I learned last week from someone.
So we are in the middle of generative AI revolution. It's clear. Since end of 2022, when ChatGPT went out, we've changed our lives. Everyone is using generative AI now. We use it on our daily tasks, of course. So on one hand, everyone would like to invest in generative AI. It became a trend. But on the other hand, it's evolving so fast that we need to be concerned that a business that makes sense today, a development that makes sense today to do a business, might be just a small feature in ChatGPT in the future. So as I'm sure all of you know, the latest version of ChatGPT is already doing reasoning. So solving very complex logic problems. So it's evolving very, very fast. And we need to be careful when we screen companies thinking about the fast development of ChatGPT. So when we look at investments in generative AI, we think about the nature of generative AI. Not all of generative AI comes from the same class of AI. So to draw it in a very simple way, I'll develop it to 3 layers. One is the layer where you have only a handful of companies. That's the foundation of generative AI. I'm talking about OpenAI, ChatGPT, and all of the products of Google and Facebook and others. Very easy. It's very hard to develop those products and very costly. We're not investing in those. So we take those out. On the other spectrum of generative AI, you see thousands of companies developing applications, Gen AI applications. So using the foundation of generative AI that I mentioned before to create applications. We see many of them. Sometimes we invest, but maybe we pass on investments because the barrier to entry and the technology moat is smaller here. So we do not want to invest there. The other layer in between those two sides is where we want to invest. And those are the software that makes the use of generative AI less expensive and easier to use. We call them generative AI enablers or infrastructure. Many use that term. That's our sweet spot, and that's, if I heard correctly, that's where both of you said you are investing, where it is very task specific. So in that kind of category, we see different generative AI companies. So we see model operations, so we see governance. We invested in Illumex. What they do, they analyze the user input and the model output, and they make sure that everything is governed by policies, by the right policies. So that's another kind that is in the middle. And the last category that we're looking to invest in is task-specific models. So imagine you have a model that is analyzing and trained on very, very specific data sets from a very small specific industry. That's where we want to invest. That's where you have competitive edge because you have access to very unique data that nobody has.
Now, quickly, because I know this topic has been discussed a lot, but in terms of sourcing the data, so of course that's the main issue, that's the main problem. Any like specific don'ts or like experience with startups when it comes to where they got their data from and that you want to share with us maybe what they shouldn't do when it comes to sourcing data?
You mean data for their
Yeah.
venture?
Look, I
Sourcing
mean,
data
it's
for the
become a
AI,
hot, become a hot issue, right? So
For the
startups
AI.
used to scrape.
Yeah.
Startups used
Yeah.
to scrape. I actually had a startup at one point in time, so I used to also scrape. Don't do that anymore. Loads of lawsuits right now. I mean, if you want just to do a POC, I guess that's fine. You got to do what you do. But if you're actually building an AI startup, one of the first questions we will ask is where's your data from? Because it's become really important. You could partner, you could buy, you can have maybe unique access or ways to find that data. It's not easy. You can try synthetic data and the juries throw it out. But it is a question that any of us will ask you, and if you're building even a verticalized model, then you better have a really good answer. And it should be, I mean, most importantly, it needs to be legal. So just check that whatever data source you use and you train on, that you acquire that data legally.
Scrape. Scrape everything. If someone puts a word on the internet, it's yours also. Remember that he's putting it there because he wants you to take it. Now, the way with scraping, do it the right way. I'm telling you, I'm all into it. I'm a scraper since I was, 5 years old. Scrape, do it properly, be compliant with the rules, don't, share the AI you got, get rid of the data you don't really need and is exposed to compliance issues. But internet is there for scraping. Don't steal, don't pretend to be human and then do the login, pass the login and cross, you check the box that you are human and then you are not a human. Don't do that. But there are so many ways to scrape data and get the data the proper way. Remember, everybody who puts data in the internet, he wants you to see it, use it. If you can, while doing it, give credit or share the link or help the data provider, do that. If you can help him monetize on that, do that. But everything that is on scraping, social networks, blogs, posts, everything are for scraping. People want the data to be used, but you have to do it properly. Now, there is a kind of a legally.
Yeah, like you gotta look into fair use. Fair use, right?
So,
There's a lot written about fair use, but there are lawsuits, and Google just paid Reddit $60 million.
And Meta lost to Bright Data on similar issues.
Right.
So there is some gray area, but I'm not telling you to challenge the gray area. I'm saying there is a lot of legal area that you can do scraping to get real-time data for a startup. Not all startups can build. If you can buy the data set, go for it. Might be expensive, so find a way. But if you need the real-time data, the only way for you is to get it by scraping. Scrape.
Gilly, scrape or not scrape?
Just one caveat. I think the LLMs have scraped everything. So if you want to add value beyond the LLM, legally, I don't think you can scrape anything you haven't scraped yet. But again, the jury's still out, the lawsuits are still going on, to be fair.
Now I wonder, what is she going to say? Is she going to say scrape? Raise your hand. Is she going to say no scrape?
Will be low.
Okay, they don't really know what you're going to say. You, so
fair, he said scrape legally, which fair enough. It's in a public domain, you can scrape.
So I believe that the question is not whether to scrape or not to scrape. That's not the issue here. I think that you're going to get competitive edge if you have access to data that nobody has. If you can get easy at data, if you can scrape it, everyone can. That's not your competitive edge, so don't bother. I'll give you some examples. One company that we invested, Can-Do, is collecting data from using sensors in the wastewater for 10 years now. Nobody does that. They have competitive edge analyzing that data. Bazi is collecting data through smart bands on babies, millions of babies in the future, and kids. Nobody's going to have that data to analyze stress level in babies. So try to get first a very unique access to data to get your competitive edge and diverse data. So not only from one source, try to make it as diverse as you can.
Now, you can keep the microphone. My next question is to you, actually. Thank you so much, guys. That was a very interesting discussion. We learned a lot. As part of each of your, you all have your, obviously, segments and, of course, the way you invest. But for you, Gili, one of your main agenda is to back companies with female founders. And as you mentioned, you invested in 10 companies so far, out of which 9 are led by women. Then I really want to acknowledge that, because obviously as a woman, and we know the percentages and numbers are low, so I think that's really, really important. And could you elaborate on that and the differences between female and male founders from your experience? And I think I know who's the only male company. Idan.
No?
Gendax.
Fund 2 is Gendax.
He's okay.
Yeah,
So no.
that's Fund 1. The statistics you talked about, 9 female CEOs out of 10 is for Fund 2. For Fund 2, and Gender is the only one. So just to be aligned, we do not have an agenda to invest in women. We don't. We invest equally in men and women. We're looking to invest in the best founders. Research says that women-led companies perform better than men-led companies. It's a US-based research, 35% higher ROI. Because of that statistics, because we care about ROI, we make a lot of effort to meet every diverse team that is out there. But it's not our agenda to invest in women. We meet everyone, and then we invest in the best. It happens to be that 9 of 10 of our companies are led by women. The differences between women and men, you can see it here. You have only 8 women in the crowd. So women are less accessible. Just to give you an example, I reach out to founders on LinkedIn equally to men and women. When I reach out to a male founder, and I say, and I always use the same sentence, hey, I would love to have an intro call. That's it. The man would say, of course, tomorrow, when? Of course, let's do it. But the woman would say, not sure, what is it about? I'm not fundraising, I'll reach out in a few months, if she even replies. So very hard to find the women, the entrepreneurs, and they are less accessible, and this is why the only difference that I see, that we see compared to other VCs that we know, is making a lot of effort to meet every female founder. So if you know any female founder, send her our way, please. And we make sure to tell that to all of our VCs that we work with, so they know that, they send them our way. So we get to see many more diverse teams than others.
So eventually it's a numbers game. So as you see more diverse teams, obviously you will invest.
We still invest in one out of 250 companies.
Yes. And Kevin, now you mentioned on our preliminary call that opportunities for disruption today are getting more and more limited because the giants obviously invest so much money on new advancement that it's really hard to be on top of the game. How do you advise companies to search for disruptive solutions these days?
Yeah, I want to just say, I love that sentence. Don't stand in the elephant's path, which I mean, you refer to the Magnificent Seven. If you look at what they're investing per quarter, I don't know, $10 to $15 billion into AI, and so if you are looking to compete with their core businesses, I'm probably not the fund to be pitching to. It's just really, really difficult. But as we've discussed earlier, there are a lot of vertical interesting opportunities, from legal and compliance to, we just did a luxury goods authentication investment to gaming. So look for those. What I would also add is look to what we like is when AI automates work processes. So what I mean by that, it's not sort of that you will come and offer a new SaaS product, a new dashboard that helps whoever's on the other end do the job better. What will be interesting is if you just completely do part of the job he has to do, completely automate whatever industry you're thinking of going into, completely automating that task allows you to create a business model, like Salesforce's. Just announced that they'll change business model to agents they're creating for their clients, where they just charge per customer interaction. It's really not Salesforce SaaS anymore. It's per interaction, and that allows you. And it's not easy to do it for a very, very big company. And I'd be curious to see how they roll it out. But it's much easier for early startups to do. So opportunities are there. As I said, it's not easy. It's not easy for us. It's not easy for you. But keep in mind keep the elephants in mind. Don't do whatever core product it is. So I'm not really that interested in marketing tech or advertising tech. This is Google and Facebook's bread and butter and those kind of things. So or on the LLM side where it's so capital intensive. But on the vertical side, if you have access to data, or if you have a clever way to create different user experiences, if you have different business models you can roll out, and automate entire work processes, I find that very interesting.
Thank you. And now we're moving to your right. Now, you were in the Army, you were the head of the AI division. I mean, if you can say the actual title that you had in the Army? Like
AI unit.
AI unit.
It's a number, that's what it meant, so AI.
AI unit. So I mean, you obviously know the ins and outs of the technical side of it as well, and how companies now obviously dealing with it. Now, some say around the world that we missed the train when it comes to AI because of everything, the war and so on. What's your perspective on that?
I think it's like 20 years ago if people would say that Israel missed the train for inventing the cloud. I mean, there are ventures that could be done in Israel that are very good, and there are ventures that actually are not meant to be born here, sorry to say. So it's not a matter of missing the train. It's not our train. We can't bring on the first day $1 million for 100 engineers or scientists from Harvard or Princeton and start building a venture with them. It's not working that way in Israel. So like Amazon and Azure and so forth were not born here. OpenAI and those sort of platforms were not born here. What we are doing very well is something that combines our nature, our ability to adopt and to change, to be very focused, and our very high capabilities in doing deep tech. So solutions like Mobileye, Waze, things like that are the real startups that we can bring to the world from here. We can identify the business case. We know how to hack it, not on the wrong way, how to hack the system, and we know how to execute the solution. So this sort of use of AI, of the technology, understanding deeply, very deeply, many of the pillars underneath the hood of those solutions are deep tech. It's not just something that. So you have the deep tech, the ability to understand and to develop it in a way, or to execute it in a way that it actually solve a problem or bring something new to the world, this is what we know to do. And we've been doing it in the army. You mentioned the army, but it's not only the army. I see many startups that understand that angle and not trying to be something else. Now, people that don't really understand this perspective are looking at the world and saying, well, you get to see Cohere from Canada, you get to see Mistral from Paris, you get to see OpenAI and so forth. How could it be that Israel provided none of them? Not mentioning that all of them are Israelis inside or something like that, but anyway, it's not coming out of Israel because you don't have the resources here. And this is not the type of solutions that we bring. I think what we learned from the cyber is very similar because all cyber giants started as a solution. Now they started as a platform. Even Checkpoint, it was a solution. I know the founders and I know how it was in the army a day before it went out. It's a solution. It's just a card with something. It's a small solution. So from that perspective, I think we are on the train. I think what we have to do, and we are working on it together with the Innovation Authority and many VCs, and we have this kind of forum that we want to bring that out to the world. That if you are seeking for a solution, not a platform like OpenAI, you want a solution for a specific problem, Israel is the right place to scout it.
So we're doing what we're good at, and we're doing it really good.
And we're
That's what
focusing
you're
on
saying.
that, and that will work.
Exactly. And before I'll move to your questions, because I see we have quite a few. At some points, your companies would like to work with corporates for the mostly, and mainly in the US. And yesterday I was at the AI conference by Kalkalis, and Ori Goshen from A21 Labs, A21 Labs. He talked about the corporates, and he talked about how corporates are slow to adopt AI due to privacy, obviously, data privacy, and the fact that they're slower in their nature, while the technology obviously runs so fast. So what would be your recommendations to have founders reaching out and being able to actually work with corporates due to the differences that in their nature that they bring?
I'll continue.
Yeah, please.
So I think there are two angles to enter a corporate. One of them is bottom up, and you have to figure out how you create a community, how you get your stars on GitHub, how you make sure not the decision makers, but the users are adopting technology. Monday could be one of those ideas. For example, people wanted to replace the Excel with something that they can work with and help their team, and then they started to onboard, and suddenly an organization discovers that his technology is widely using, and now he's fully into it, and now this is the way to hook it. The other way is going top down. This is hard. You have to walk the long path. I try nowadays for the last year, to avoid startups that their whole journey at the beginning is built on convincing corporates to take you as a package, 3 digits and so forth. You have to find a different way to enter. So I think that's my comment.
Yeah, it's hard. A lot of corporates were also hit by the AI train and are not sure where it's going, what's coming, how it's going to impact their business. So they're slow by nature, and now they're even slower, which I understand. So one way you could think about is if they're facing potential existential threats, also because they're very slow, that's a problem. So you can try to help them solve that. All right. The other thing I would do is really, as I said, if you come and you're not going to don't pitch you're going to replace entire workforce, entire teams. Pitch that you're going to augment them, right? Think and use words carefully. So you change and help them automate work processes, you make them more efficient, you increase productivity for the same team. But there are a lot of challenges right now. There's privacy challenges, there are legal challenges. So corporates are difficult. Since we're consumer funds, I like the consumer angle right now, for sure. So if you have ideas on that, those are always much easier to go out and test. And then I think there are also corporates that are more advanced, corporates that have dev teams, corporates that are a bit more tech savvy versus corporates that have zero dev teams and are really like a deer in the headlights right now. So there are corporates who are embracing also this. So in my industry, there are publishers like Axel Springer who's openly partnering with OpenAI. So those guys are very advanced. When I talk to them, they know their stuff. And then there are other corporates, maybe on the e-commerce side or elsewhere, who are a lot less advanced. So really understand the clients that you want to pitch to, see if you solve a problem for them, how you solve it, keep their compliance challenges in mind. But it's not easy right now, for sure. They're moving, they're moving very slow.
I agree. Selling to corporates is very, very hard. Soon everyone is going to be using AI. It's going to take time, it's okay, but it also, as we heard here, it takes time to sell into corporates. So we encourage our companies to start now, of course, not be deterred. We believe in the top-bottom approach more than going from the bottom up. So if you can reach out to a CEO of a big corporate, even if it's 4,500, sometimes you can reach out to him or her and have them refer you to the correct people to work with. If they leave the corporation or if they try to block you, you can always go up and ask for new referrals. If you go from the bottom up and your champion leaves the corporation, you can never go up, not in the US. So we always go top-bottom in that case. I agree with Kevin very much with what he said about never pitch that you're going to save money by replacing people. So one of the major concerns that they have now, not one of them is privacy, of course, but the other one is, are we all going to be replaced too? The CEOs too. Everyone is worried about that. So your pitch should say, we are going to use AI to enable your work, make it more efficient. So I agree with that. Always have two champions, at least, at the corporate. If someone leaves, you keep one and continue with him or her. But it's a long process, always, in every industry. And we're selling into water utilities, cyber companies selling to SaaS, to corporates, every construction, every industry takes very long time to sell to these big enterprises. But don't be deterred about it. I believe that everything is about relationship, everything is about people. So even if you have competition and there are many technologies solving the same problem in different ways, eventually they will select the team that they would like to work with. So work on your relationship with the decision makers and the users within every organization and keep nurturing their relationship. And just don't give up, and it's going to happen eventually.
And you said before that you're really nurturing relationships with different stakeholders in the US, and this is something you really, like, as part of your daily tasks. You've heard great insights, different or even similar ideas and ways of looking at things. Now let's get to you guys. So if you can say your names and your questions. Yes.
Hi, my name is David. Our startup relates to EV charging. We enable fast EV charging anywhere, anytime, regardless the grid. So the innovation is basically based on improved thermodynamic cycle. It's a turnkey, grid-independent or off-grid solution. And my question is, what could be your point of interest when approaching this type of segment?
So this is the automotive segment?
Yes. What are you looking for in terms of AI in this segment?
Not to crash.
Automotive, what would be
So,
your
again,
approach
not
to that?
so you're doing EV charging solutions?
Yes, power generation. We provide the power in locations where the grid is not enough, where the grid is constrained.
Right.
We enable the fast charging. So there are lots of AI features, for example.
It's hardware also, right?
Sorry?
It's hardware too.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's not my space. I would look into regulatory hurdles because you depend on the green light from the city, from the government, from some sort of region, and that's usually very difficult to get. It takes a long time to pitch into governments, and that's also fragmented. Even in the US, which is a clear market, state registration is different from state to state. So I think that's one we should address somehow. How you somehow get that faster done, and then capital intensive. It sounds capital intensive, so you need to raise a lot of money. That's another worry I would have. Look at bigger funds. Don't go to small funds, right? Because I have a small fund, I'm not going to invest in a capital intensive business because I get diluted quickly. Because you need to raise a lot of money to eventually roll out all those EV charging stations. And even if I invest early at a good valuation, I'll get really diluted. So no small fund or I'm not. So look for bigger funds. Look for people who understand this business. Look for funds who have maybe have companies that sold into governments and states who are more familiar with that industry, who know how to navigate it. That's sort of my 2 cents and tips.
I guess it could be interesting to similar sectors. Yeah, okay. So I think we can move on. Thank you so much. Yeah, you asked before. What's your name? Any question?
I wanted just to ask to all the people here that are in AI, I am not.
Okay. What is your name?
There is a subject of commercial corporate intelligence that I have not heard from the people that I was speaking with, that anyone was developing software that's brand specific to actually collect the data of your competition, to analyze what your competition is doing, and to keep your company a step ahead of your competition.
Like business intelligence? You're asking if there's anyone who uses AI first?
I cannot do it because I'm not an AI expert, but I'm throwing the idea for all the people that are here that I think that corporate competitive intelligence is a very important factor for the bottom line of the company.
Yeah. I guess, do you have companies in these spaces?
There are a lot of. For me, if your company is doing it, well, my answer is it's too crowded, low barrier to entry. Many solutions for that. In any vector, in any area, there are companies providing that. From small to big, it's a solved problem. It takes trading, but we're not prepared for that now.
Saturated market.
You can do it without scraping, but then you cannot provide any intelligence. But still, there are a lot of solutions for that already exist. Some of them are big deal, doing a lot of money. Some of them are struggling.
So maybe you should try and find a different angle around that, or something around that. Thank you. Yeah, your name again and the question.
Amit, thank you so much. Itai and I, in the last 2 years, investing in a company and a CEO founder in sales marketing, a company that helps businesses to grow and get to the clients and to the telemeeting guys, do the things much easier with
For sales? Sales related?
automation between the sales guy and the CRMs. So, my question is this: how are you as co-founders? Investors. In that crazy time of the AI and the developers, like understand what is trend and understand what is going to be like a legit business to contain a lot of years.
So the question is, what is a trend? I mean, we did touch upon it when we asked about what they kind of how they evaluate and how they try to go ahead of the curve. But if you have any more things you want to add around how do you find the trend that will stay?
I think you're asking how do I separate the trend from the real value of the company. So it's analyzing whether the solution is building or helping a substantial market, something that is grown enough, scaled, not trying to educate and not not lying on a trend or something trendy that just came up or a buzzword or something like that. I would expect the founders to come from that domain, being not all of them, but at least one of them, and not the advisors. Sometimes you see the founders and you see a great list of advisors, but I want to see the founders coming from a specific domain that they are expert on that domain, being experienced in that specific domain, and they will probably know what is trend or fashion and what is the real thing needed, and through the dialogue with them, I believe we can discover it.
We have time for one last question, please. So, yeah, Leonardo?
Leonardo, good. Hi, nice to meet you. We are building a platform for channel partners, and the pain we are solving is leads, to get more leads. And one of the main issues we found is that the main business from them is to pass each other business that they are coming from different sectors. Now one of the main issues is trust. How they trust some other partners that they don't know. And we were thinking scrapping information from many places and also using AI to help to get this trust. Something similar like Airbnb are doing, to trust, between families. So I wonder what is your vision on that? This combination of scrapping AI and all this stuff to help people.
How to build trust, that's the question?
Yeah.
How to build trust using AI.
And just to confirm, you want to build some sort of a profile for the channel partners that makes the other channel partner more comfortable to share leads with each other?
Yeah, when they see the car from the other partner and they see all the information, they get trust.
Yeah, look, if you create tools that scrape that goes to the website and goes to the Wikipedia page, it's all public domain, and then it's like, hey, I've created this profile for you, feel free to edit it if I missed something, but I've done all the work for you already. I think that's a good idea.
To help them upfront.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think it's a huge differentiator, but it's a good idea. I think you should be thinking about, if you're doing the lead business, how do you go upstream? How do you qualify the lead? How does the client qualify the lead? And how does that then, and then what the next step is then, sales BDR needs to start taking the calls. Like, I think that if you do that better than anybody else, then that's where you could get a lot more value. So I would probably focus. It's a good idea, but I would focus more on how can I separate all the leads I get from those that are potentially converting for this specific line versus others. How can I qualify those leads better?
Okay, guys, the best panels are usually those that leaves a taste for more. So I'm sure you got a taste for more, and some of you might stay here so you can actually go and talk to them more. I want to thank you so much, Gili from ICI, UI, Disruptive, AI, Kevin, Reimagine Ventures. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us, to share your insights and learnings. And if you have anything else you want to share, that's the time, or if not, later.
No, I apologize in advance. I have to run out. If you're doing anything, you're staying here. Shani's staying here. Talk to Shani. You've got Cohen over there. Thank you very much.
So, thank you so much.